this is probably a long subject, but I wanted to at least dip into it. So, talking about like a little Kim, for example, right? So I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
talk a little bit about light skin, dark skin
Colorism.
complexes in the black community. I mean, we could probably talk about that for a long time, but I want to get everybody's perception, personal perception on these things, and then also we could talk about how we think how the world is. You know what I'm saying? As far as the black
Mm-hmm.
community, you know what I'm saying. So, um, whoever would like to go first, I'll just set the stage. Like to me, um, the dark skin, light skin thing has so many complexes to it. And again, it's also like plastic surgery. There's a lot of internal stuff people deal with, right? And then there's also kind of the world that we live in. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so whoever wants to kick that off, but I definitely wanted to see what y'all thought about that and experiences.
Well,
You sh-
obviously, this goes way back to slavery. You know,
Of
the
course.
light skin, dark skin. I
yeah,
feel like it goes way back then, and it was just passed down generation
yeah.
from generation to generation to generation
Hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
where obviously you're ingrained to believe that dark skin is ugly, light skin is
Mm-hmm.
beautiful, and
Hmm.
then of course you have a society and urban pop culture, um,
Mm-hmm.
music, and modeling, and all these things have all perpetuated the idea that a certain type of look is the epitome of beauty.
Yeah.
And if you are going to be a black woman in any of these high profile fields, then you need to look a certain way. A lot of the
Mm-hmm.
darker skinned women in music and modeling and journalism and all these things, they weren't considered beautiful. But
Mm-hmm.
the ones that were on the lighter end of it, they were the ones that were really pushed forward as, well,
Mm-hmm.
that's beautiful. So when you have certain women that look a certain way being, you know, put on this pedestal as the
Mm-hmm.
picture of black beauty, of course. And then you have your family, you have friends, you have schoolmates, you have being teased. I can't tell you how many times I was called black and ugly. You so black, you so black, you so black, you so black and ugly. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
you ugly and dark skinned. Or people saying, oh well, you're all right for a dark skinned
Mm-hmm.
chick, or oh, you're pretty for a dark skin. It's like they always had to leverage that part, like saying, well, you're dark
Yeah.
skin, but you're not ugly dark skin, because dark skin, it's saying pretty much that dark skin people or dark skin women are typically ugly, but you know, you're one of
Mm-hmm.
the ones that's all right. I've had
It's crazy.
nothing hurts more than when you're a teenage girl and you like a boy and he tells you that he doesn't date dark skinned girls because dark skinned people look dirty.
Oh,
When you're
oh
a
my
young
gosh.
teenage girl, that hurt. He knew I
Right.
had a crush on him, and for him to tell me that to my face, he got a kick out of it. And so
Mm-hmm.
that does absolutely mess with your self esteem. And you know, our mother is light skinned, okay,
Hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
so some of the comments that she made, whether she realized it or not, used to hurt my feelings because
Hmm.
our older sister is light skinned also. And so,
Mm-hmm.
whether she realized it or not, my mom perpetuated that this idea that my sister was a lot prettier because she was light skinned. And a lot of relatives and a lot of people that would come around, they would always talk about how pretty she was. And my sister is beautiful. I
Mm-hmm.
love my sister to pieces. You know,
Mm-hmm.
awesome. She's my hero. But
Mm-hmm.
it hurt me growing up, feeling
Hmm.
like, because I felt like, well,
Yeah.
what's wrong with being dark skinned? I didn't think there was
Right.
anything wrong with my skin. I thought there was something wrong with the world. And
Hmm.
what hurt me most is like, man, I'm
Mm-hmm.
stuck in this world that believes that dark skinned people are not beautiful. And I'm obviously dark skinned because this is how God wanted me to look. But
Mm-hmm.
I felt so many walls being pushed up against me because I
Right.
saw in particular how the lighter skinned girls were treated, even
Right.
in, especially by whites, even in class projects, in
Mhm.
sports, because I was in sports. I ran track, I played in the
Mhm.
band, all kind of stuff. And there was a difference in treatment between the darker skins and the lighter skins. And it's even
Mhm.
worse if you have a foreign name and they know you're African, because then that's a whole nother thing we'll have to talk about another time.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a whole nother
But
podcast.
Mhm. Mhm.
I had to overcome
Mhm.
those stereotypes and the
Right.
insults and the bullying and the mistreatment
Right.
because of being dark skinned. And that is still, that's not as bad as it was, but that's,
Mhm.
colorism is still a thing.
But
But
it didn't
that
make
was an
you
Yeah.
want to go
experience.
Sammy Sosa yourself.
Yeah.
Like you didn't lighten up your skin. You know what I mean? Like it just
No,
kind of made you.
I never considered, but that's
Mhm.
situational for me, I guess, because I
Right.
didn't feel like, I felt like I had a nice complexion. I didn't feel like I was
Mhm.
like tar, even though people called me stuff like tar baby and, you know, stupid stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really, it really hurt a lot of times, but
Yeah.
there was always still this part of me, and I guess I credit it to God for making me think there's nothing wrong with you. There's something wrong with the world.
Right.
And so
Mhm.
Right.
I really had to press through that, even though there were times I felt sad. And I used to feel like,
Mhm.
well, how come people, I feel like I'm pretty, but how come nobody else sees it? You
Right.
know,
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, what did you have, Gina? You're well, you know what? You're brown, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't
Mhm.
we all have black people, we all classify each other by
Skin tone.
light
whatever
skin,
color we
brown
Different
skin.
thing.
yeah. So what
Yeah.
experience did you have, Gina? What with colorism? What did you see anything or feel anything growing up, or did people put you in a light skin, dark skin category or whatever?
Um, I mean, kind of like I guess the biggest thing is like what Yaya said. I heard a lot of the negative comments towards my brown skin or darker skin friends
Hmm.
that I just was like, why are y'all saying these things? You know what I mean? We all black. We should be supporting each other all the way around.
Hmm.
But it was definitely separation. Like you could tell the guys would go after in school the lighter skinned girls or, quote unquote good hair, which doesn't
Hmm.
exist. That whole persona, and
Hmm.
it is still relevant today
Hmm.
Absolutely.
because if we fast forward to today, what is the girl Danny Lay? She put out that song. Oh, he wants a red bone, or and all this, and people came down on her so hard because why would you even say something like that?
Yeah.
Like it's absolutely ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. And like I said, it goes back to slavery. It trickled down the paper bag
The
test,
brown paper
passing
bag
for
Mm-hmm.
track.
white,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
you know, buying black little girls white dolls because that is the look. That's what you're supposed to aspire to look like. Like
Hmm.
it was out of control and it's still out of control. And
Hmm.
I'll say just the biggest experience for me personally was actually in Africa, to be honest.
Mm.
I went to Ghana in
Okay.
1999
Wow.
Wow.
and we went to a village in Saint Croix, if I'm
Hmm.
pronouncing that correctly.
Hmm.
And we got off the bus. It was me, other teenagers. We were there on, like a mission trip.
Okay.
And when I got off the bus, the children in the village were like, "Oh, white, white." Like they were calling me white. And I was like shocked. Like I was a teenager. I was just really taken aback. Like why they keep calling me white? Like it just, I don't know. It kind of just blew my mind because I'm thinking I'm here in the motherland.
Hmm.
Like this is everything, and they're calling me white. So that always like stuck with me. I just couldn't like understand it or get past like why they kept.
Did they treat you like you were more special? Like they acting like, oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Like
Okay.
they were surrounding me and they were like, oh, like touching my skin, like, oh, white, white.
Hmm.
And I'm like, you know, I
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do.
Right.
So that just kind of blew my mind. But I mean, I think that's just the biggest thing I've had, stuck in my head
That's
when it comes to
crazy.
colorism personally.
Wow.
Um,
Crazy.
but that was kind of crazy.
Yeah,
That
that's
is
That
wild.
crazy.
yeah.
Yo, B,
Yeah.
what did you experience? Like, what do you think? Like, because from a male perspective, I'm gonna give my perspective as a man too, because I think as black men, we definitely experience colorism. I don't know if it hits us as
Mm-hmm.
deeply in the soul as way it hits women, because I've talked to
Mm-hmm.
many dark skinned women, many light
Yeah.
skinned women. I've seen and heard all the things y'all said. To act like I haven't would be lying. That'd be
Hmm.
disingenuous. It's definitely
Yeah.
a factor. It's ugly, but it's a
It
factor.
happens.
Yeah.
Um,
Nothing was said incorrectly. So yeah.
what did you
Mm-hmm.
notice, B? Like, what did you notice
Mm-hmm.
when we were growing up? Did you feel anything? Did you feel anything just personally, or not really?
Me personally, I don't know. Not really. Not really. I also was the dark skinned kid in the house because I have my brother's light skin.
That's
So
true. Yeah.
but I don't know if I felt. I can't. It's hard to say. I don't want to attribute what I felt to colorism. Um, I think it
Right.
was more so some other stuff. But to y'all's point, yeah, I know personally as a kid, I was guilty of some saying some stuff to some people that was, you know what I mean? Like you ain't
Mm-hmm.
really thinking as a kid that you really being colorist. But as you got older, you
Mhm.
Yeah.
realize
Mm-hmm.
what you were saying, like and how that may have affected people. So, yeah,
Right.
I've probably been one of the contributors to this problem at some point. But
Well, did you feel like you were team like did you feel like you were team dark skin, or you kind of like were you kind of like in the middle because you're not light, you're not dark. Were you like did you feel like
Mm-hmm.
because I kind of look at Gina like that. You're like
yeah,
kind of in the middle. So
I'm not so much. I'm not dark, but I was the dark one in the house, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. So I grew
got you.
up thinking I was darker than what
Mm-hmm.
I am. so, so when I got in the world and people were like, "Hey, you kind of light skinned," I'm like, "No, no, I'm not. Nobody has ever told me that." You know what I mean? Like in my house, I'm the
Right.
dark kid,
Mm-hmm.
but so it
Okay.
was a little
It's
different
all
for me because
perspective.
I'm like I'm on the peanut butter side of the spectrum. You know what I mean? Like I'm not.
I think you're the brown paper
Yeah,
bag.
I'm probably the paper bag. Yes, so
You're the bag.
it's a little different for me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't experience it like some people experience, but I definitely was probably one of the
Mm-hmm.
contributors to the problem. I'll say that. But if we being honest about it,
Wait. Before I give my little piece. So, are you saying that you passed up some beautiful chocolate women to go for a red
that's not
bone?
what
Is
I'm saying.
that what you're
No, no,
saying?
no, 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 no. Because yeah, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, as a youngster, I may have made some of those dark skin jokes that without realizing how hurtful they could be. You see what I'm
Got you.
saying?
Got you. Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
I can think I'm
Mm-hmm.
literally thinking of incidents in my head right now. I just don't. I'm not gonna throw it out there because But
Yeah.
I've made some of those
Yeah.
jokes to people that were stay fake. It being on my just me being funny and immature as a kid. That now is like, how the hell could I?
Hmm.
Why did I say that? You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
as a
Mm-hmm.
kid,
Mm-hmm.
it's
yeah,
understandable
because you don't
because
really
Bro.
realize
we don't
you
understand the
being colorist, but
ramifications
at the same
of
time you're
those
actually
things.
being
Right.
colorist, and you don't really realize how it's affecting the person you're talking to. So what
Yeah.
you're saying as a
Yeah.
joke may be something that they hold on to. You know what I mean? And you don't even
Hmm.
realize that
Right.
that's happening.
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah,
right.
that's just.
Well,
But
Absolutely.
that's definitely
yeah,
interesting, man. I was like
Mm-hmm.
so I was more like I guess I consider myself obviously a dark skinned man. Um
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as a kid, I would say I think for boys this doesn't hit us as
nope.
hard, but I do think that there was a time during our era, like during the '90s, early '90s, like for a while, kind of the same thing. Like it was all about the lighter skinned guy. So if there was a lighter skinned guy,
Mm-hmm.
um, the curly hair, light skinned guy, whoever was lighter,
Mm-hmm.
girls were going after more of the lighter skinned guy. So I think
Right.
for some of the
I'll be
brown and darker
sure. I
skin,
remember that whole
The Al B.
era.
Sure era, and
huh?
then the
Yeah.
Wesley Snipes era happened.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
Then the
exactly,
Wesley Snipes era happened. So
huh?
dark skin became in, and then they wanted Morris
Yes,
Chestnut.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
yes.
Like
We
Well,
no
Morris
no
Chestnut,
listen.
Morris
We
Chestnut actually looks good. Wesley
we
Snipes don't.
well
y'all
we
wasn't saying
had
that
well
when
you're
New Jack
right.
City came out. Y'all love that nigga.
I never said that. I
Yo,
never said that about no Wesley
Wesley
Snipes.
Here's the thing though.
Never said that.
Um I tell you those as trivial as it sounds, as a kid, those things did change because what happened is like it's interesting. All the light skinned guys, those were the that's what the vibe was. I'll be sure and that whole X
Mm-hmm.
curl, curly
Yeah.
hair vibe that was going on. And then all of a sudden, you start having Michael Jordan, Wesley Snipes, and all these other dark skinned Morris Chestnut, Tay Diggs, all these guys start coming
Yep.
to the picture.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yep.
I start finding where a lot of the light, what it was weird, maybe it's just me, but all of the lighter skinned women were going, it's like everybody's going for the opposite, right? So I noticed that
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the girls that I had early on, not that I chose, it's just that a lot of the girls were like they were more like, oh, I really like dark skinned men. So it started to become like a prideful thing, like, oh, she like dark
Mm-hmm.
skinned dudes, and it ended up being the lighter skinned girls going for that. But I
Yeah.
mean, throughout like high school and stuff like that, I mean, I liked all different types of girls. I had girlfriends that were dark and light, so it didn't really matter to me
Mm-hmm.
personally. But
Yeah.
there was a level of pride to start coming to play when you start seeing these mainstream people that are dark. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Where somebody's saying you so black, this and that, and then it starts to become. I think for men, and maybe this is just my own perception and my own journey, but I think for men, we started to get a lot of pride with being dark, and I think that thing deaded for us
Mm-hmm.
a lot earlier than it did for the women. So I feel like dark skinned men, we was able to have a lot of
But
pride in popular
I
culture
think that's
earlier.
because there was more
Mm-hmm.
representation for dark skinned men in pop
Absolutely,
culture versus yeah.
absolutely. No,
Because
you're
That's
absolutely right.
while
yeah.
y'all were
Absolutely
getting
right.
That's
Wesley
true.
and Tay, there wasn't many actresses on that same
Facts,
side who were,
It's
you know what I mean.
facts,
So
absolutely. They still
facts.
hadn't broke through that
Hmm.
yeah,
barrier.
yeah,
Yeah, they still
Well,
didn't.
here's the
Yeah.
crazy. The
Yes.
crazy thing is this. The crazy
That's
thing is
true.
that all of this stuff is so crazy as an adult because it's so
Mm-hmm.
in our mind. It don't even exist. It's all bullshit. That's the crazy
exactly.
thing. But
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Well, we
But
manifest a
Mm-hmm.
lot of things that are in our minds that don't really mean much in the grand scheme of things, but we
yeah,
make it a
Mm-hmm.
thing, you
we
know.
make
And
it a thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
slavery made it a thing. A lot of things that happened during slavery that were passed down during the generations were stuff that was just implanted in our heads
yeah,
that
yeah.
ended up
Mm-hmm.
manifesting and
Yep.
kind of, I mean, I hate to say ruin, but for lack of a better word, but ruin the true potential of what the African American race, had
Yeah,
simply
yeah.
by planting
Mm-hmm.
these destructive
Yeah.
seeds in our head. And
Mm-hmm.
colorism was one of those things because it
Mm-hmm.
divide and conquer was one of the ways that
Yeah.
slave masters
Yeah.
Of course.
kept
That's
slaves
right.
in line. It's like if
Yeah,
you
That's
cause
right.
conflict and division, then they're not going to come together to
right.
free
Mm-hmm.
themselves and try to fight back
Yeah.
against
Funny how
us.
that still
They'll be
happens
too
now.
busy fighting with each other. Huh?
Right.
It's funny how that still happens now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's right.
Well,
Exactly. That was a
to
That's a
add
powerful
to that
seed
fact.
that
though,
was sown.
when you think
Yep.
about it, when you add to the colorism thing, I mean, well, one, let me say this. When it comes to
Mm-hmm.
skin lightening, Gina, you talked about Ghana, right?
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to, that's where we're from, it's Ghana. So,
Mm-hmm.
we went in 2010, right?
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things I'm aware of, not just Ghana, but other African countries,
Mm-hmm.
skin lightening cream sells the most on the continent.
Yes.
The skin lightening
Yep.
cream is crazy. And I've seen it
Yep.
here. I mean, I've seen, could be Ghanaian, could be Nigerian, could be other countries, but I've seen
Mm-hmm.
African women where they body look like me, and then they face look like you, Gina. We've seen it
Yeah.
Hmm.
times.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying?
yes. I've
Hmm.
seen that. Yeah.
Yep. I've
And
seen
you
a lot
see
of
Yeah.
those
that
women
also.
Absolutely.
today, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
yo, why? Why are you doing that?
They've just
Why are
bought
you
into
lightening your
that.
It's the
skin?
Sammy
Again,
Sosa
there's
effect,
that
Yep.
bro.
dysfunction.
It's, I
Yeah.
don't know. Yeah, Sammy had some. Either
Dysfunction
Sammy had
there.
That
some
was
mean
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah,
vitiligo.
Dysfunction.
dysfunction is
Yeah,
the
Sammy
word.
had
he
some.
had, he had
Yes.
fame. He had fame. He had money. He had everything to
Yeah.
get it. I don't, and he looked good the way he was. I don't. There was no
Yeah.
reason for him to. But from what
Mm-hmm.
I found out about that culture, it's the same
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Right,
If you're dark skinned, you
right.
are seen differently, and there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of
Yeah.
Indian cultures
Yeah.
Indian, yep.
Yes.
who feel the
Oh, yeah.
same way, where they
Dominican,
won't even allow their children to go out into the sun because they don't want them to get dark. Because if you
Mm-mm-mm.
are dark, you're damn near seen as
Right.
worthless. So
Right.
a lot of
Right.
Hispanic cultures, Black, Hispanic,
Yeah.
Indian.
Yes.
I don't know how much in kind of Asian or Pacific Islander cultures. I'm sure some of that exists in that culture because some of them are seen as more beautiful if their skin is
Mm-hmm.
lighter, you know. And
Right.
again, that dysfunction is everywhere. When people are willing,
That's a
Michael
fact.
Jackson is a perfect example of
Yeah.
that. I mean, an extreme example of that
Yeah.
dysfunction to where, I mean, he had beautiful, beautiful
Oh
brown
my
skin,
gosh.
and
Yes.
he was as white as that door that's behind you. I mean, it's just
Mm.
Yeah.
he didn't even make
Yeah.
himself white. He looked like whiteout.
Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah.
Yeah.
mean,
That's how bad it got. Like he got to the
Yeah.
point,
bad.
and I think
It
a
was
lot of
bad.
people, that's why that skin
Mm.
lightening cream is a crazy phenomenon because you
Mm-hmm.
know it sells so much. You know what I'm saying? Now you have
Yeah.
some people who will say, you know what I'm saying, like they're using the cream to get rid of dark spots or stuff like that.
I
But
mean, it's great for those types of things. If you've got certain,
Mm-hmm.
like, especially if you got dark spots from pimples or from chicken pox
Mm-hmm. Right.
or scars, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
I hate to keep bringing this up, but there, I had a scar on my face from being bitten. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't want a constant reminder of that.
right.
So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I had some lightening cream for pimple spots. So I used some of
Mm-hmm.
that for that, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's anything wrong with lightening cream if you're using it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But when you
no,
start
no,
changing your whole
of
complexion,
course.
Right.
something's wrong
Yeah.
with that.
Right.
When you start trying to change your whole complexion, that's when it get crazy and your face
Mm-hmm.
don't match your neck. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like
Right.
your your
Yeah.
So
your face and your neck should be matching to an
Great.
extent. You know what I'm saying? Like it
they
shouldn't
should
Yeah.
be
be. They
you shouldn't be
really, really
two
should be.
different colors.
In
You
my
know.
own
Exactly.
defense, though, I do not use lightening cream on my face. It is
Mm-hmm.
very hot here, so my arms are
Mm-hmm.
dark.
Oh,
My arms are dark,
obviously.
and sometimes my
You
chest is a little dark. But when wintertime comes around, then everything starts to even back out again. Because I was looking at
Yeah.
the
myself in
camera's
the mirror
on. You
Yeah.
ain't
yesterday,
got to
and I'm like,
explain nothing because we could see you on camera. So if you look two different ways, it would be pretty obvious on
I don't
camera.
know, my
You know what I'm
this,
saying?
like
So
here is the sun,
that
man.
don't you know.
That's
This
the
is the sun down here in SA is a little
Well, we
serious.
here's the thing. We all have kids, right? All of us on this panel have kids, right? So
Mm-hmm.
how do y'all think things have changed? Because I think I don't know. Like I look at my kids and I'm like I don't even think they're aware because at 8 and 7, well, my kids what
Mm-hmm.
they're 8 and 7, almost 9 and 8. But
Mm-hmm.
um, I'm trying to think if that was even a thing I thought about at that age. But if I
Mm-hmm.
didn't, I thought about it not too long after that. I was aware of colorism at least by 10.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't know if the kids look at it like that now. I think things have gotten better because there's so much more representation and girls I feel like are aware of all complexions. Because the other thing too is that
Mm-hmm.
so on the flip side, like I because a lot of times when we look at the victimization of colorism, we look at only dark skinned people,
Mm-hmm.
and then on the flip
Mm-hmm.
side, there's people who are light who go through a lot of shit
hmm
too.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And oftentimes we tend to forget about the lighter skinned people who go through a lot because there are people who are
Mm-hmm.
lighter skinned who are constantly teased by dark skinned people who are like, you're not black
Mm-hmm.
enough and you
Yep.
I have a
high
lot of mixed
yellow and your
friends.
skin gonna turn red if I
Hmm.
smack you and all this type of
Yeah.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff hurts too. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
true.
A lot of my
That's
mixed
So
true.
friends have gone through that. They've
yeah,
had, it's almost
Mm-hmm.
like they've had very similar experiences as I have. So it's one area that
Mm-hmm.
we've been able to relate.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you can't forget about the people who are lighter skinned too. But I think like
Mm-hmm.
the pride of I think that it's about being proud of just being part of the black or dark or not the black. I want to say color. That sounds crazy. Part of the
Mm-hmm.
melanated people to be proud of that and just kind of look at it like that and not have that
Mm-hmm.
separatism. Because sometimes you could be like, well, I'm proud to be dark, and it's almost like people should be proud to be light. You know what I'm saying, or whatever they
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
Whatever they are.
And
Mm-hmm.
I say all that to say that I don't think my kids really notice that right now. So I don't know if do y'all think like B, have you ever had a talk like that with Taryn? Like, has it ever been something that y'all ever talked about before?
Um, no, not directly. We haven't. But my child is super light skinned too, so she probably gets. You know what? It's probably a conversation I should have, if I'm being honest with you. But we haven't had one like that in terms
Mm,
of colorism. No.
okay.
So,
Okay.
but I'm sure I
She
know
may have
I
had it a
know
little
it
bit
exists in
easier,
the
I
sense
think.
that I told you she's light skinned, so that's she's reminded of that by some of the older people in the family. Like, you know, what I mean, older people don't mean no harm, but they'll tell you like you're a little light skinned, but
Mhm.
it's the way the little say it. They'll say it. So
Yeah.
she's
Yeah.
aware of it
Mhm.
in that sense, but I don't know if it's
Right.
affected her in any
Mhm.
deeper sense other than just being annoyed that they
Got you.
talk
Mhm.
about it. You know what I mean? So
That's what's so weird though,
Mhm.
because I couldn't imagine now, like my son Sahara's a little lighter than Harlow is. But
Mhm.
I couldn't imagine being like yo, you're light skinned. Like I don't even think that language would come up. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
of course, I can't control what they hear in the world, but to me, I'm like, it's just ain't relevant.
yeah.
So I'm just wondering,
Mhm.
like you said, B. Sometimes older people they still talk like that, so it's kind of like they don't think
Mhm.
about it as something a
Mhm.
thing. Um, but is that something with your son G? Is you guys ever had that combo or anything like that? Like I guess for boys it's
Yeah.
not a big deal, but
Yeah, and I'll just say my son's a grown up. He's 22.
mm,
And no, we've never had that kind of a talk. Although my son is brown skinned and I mean, but it's never been a thing, you know what I mean, to
yeah,
me or to him for he hasn't told me so
yeah,
far. You know, nothing like that. But I can attest as being a teacher. I am a music teacher
yes.
and I teach pre-K to 5th grade,
Oh,
elementary
Okay.
school.
Shh. School
And the
um,
us.
things I hear these children saying, oh, colorism is
Very
they are
much real.
very aware.
Still
They
alive.
are saying these
Yeah.
hurtful things. They are telling me, other grown-ups, our teachers, what is being said. And then you have to go to that child and correct that other child. Like, you don't say those things. It's hurtful. You don't know how you're making them feel right now. So I see it all the time
Wait, so here
being a
I
teacher.
here I am thinking that we've grown out of that and we're in a different world, and I don't know what the hell I'm
Mm.
talking about because I ain't you
This
you
this generation,
pre-K to five you dealing with
they're
it.
on a different level. They are so advanced.
Hmm.
They know so much. They see so much that we
absolutely.
think, oh, they don't know. Yes, they do know. And
Mm.
I'm talking about the little ones. They
Yes,
know what's going on.
they
And they
do.
still talking that
It,
dark skin. They still talking light skin, dark skin stuff too.
absolutely yes.
Wow.
You will be amazed at the things that I hear every day. Every day. I mean, it's that and other things. It's awful.
My daughter
Mm.
It's
just turned
awful.
6 years old, and I had to
Oh,
have that conversation with her uh, 6 months ago.
Because both of
Uh,
them are
mm,
light.
Sor-
mm,
Soraya is very light skinned, obviously. She's
Hmm.
very light,
mhm,
and a lot of people think that she's mixed. I mean, technically she is because her father is
mhm,
biracial, and she took
mhm,
that skin tone. I mean, when I
mhm,
as a baby, people always said, "Oh, her daddy must be white," because as a baby she looked mixed.
mhm,
Now that she's
mhm,
a little bit older, she's got the kinky
mhm,
curly hair, so
mhm,
people still think that she's mixed, but
mhm,
she is acutely aware of her skin tone and being brown
mhm,
and the different shades of brown that I think us
mm,
people perpetuate. Like, well, I'm not dark skin, I'm brown skin, or I'm this. Well, I'm not that.
yeah,
I'm more like this, or I'm more like that, and all these different levels because we're so
yeah,
afraid of using the word dark skin because that still has like a
mhm,
negative connotation.
Right.
And my daughter said to
yeah,
me, she's like, "Oh well," she felt like well, I want to be white because white is beautiful. I said, honey, I said, don't ever say that you want to be white. I said, because you are beautiful
mhm,
too. Your skin tone, the way that you are. I said, you are. I said,
yeah,
you are black. You're just a little
Hmm.
bit lighter. And of
Yeah.
Got
course,
somebody in the
this
back.
one,
I know. I know.
go to bed. This one over here, he's a little bit,
So cute.
he should have been dead. I don't even know why
He
he's
pulled
still
up
up.
too smooth too.
I know.
Pulled up like, let me get a
Uh,
sip.
Yeah.
Nah.
Oh man.
um,
I love it.
hold,
Yeah. No, it's all good.
hold on, guys.
Yeah, no problem. This happens
He
every
be
show.
on it. He be on it.
That's
Pretty
so
much.
cute.
No, that's I didn't know that they were still there. Yeah, maybe I'm out of touch then. Maybe you know, my I mean, to me, I don't know. I guess unless my kids say something, about
Mm-hmm.
being talked about or something bother them, then I talk about it. But I don't really. It's one of those
Right.
things where I almost feel like if you make it a thing, it is a
Yeah.
thing. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if that's the wrong
Mm-hmm.
way to look at it, but I kind of feel like why even be like, well, listen, when you go to school, you're this color and you're this color, and you might hear this, and like I don't know. I'm just like, let me just see what
Yeah.
happens, because I kind
Yeah.
of don't want to put no energy or put fuel to the idea
Yeah.
because I
Mm-hmm.
feel like
Mm-hmm.
it's imaginary. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah. It is
it is
definitely a thing.
Yeah,
that's
it's the same with me,
crazy.
bro. It's
It's,
one of those subjects I never felt like I had to like delve into,
mm-hmm.
unless she came to me and
Yeah,
told me
Yeah.
like something was bothering her. Then they'd be like, okay, let's talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I
yeah,
never felt the need to like
yeah.
Right.
initiate this particular conversation because it's like to the. It's kind of like okay, I know it's in the world. You're gonna see it, but if
Mm-hmm.
if it affects you,
Mm-hmm.
we need to talk. You know what I mean? But
Right.
my kid
Right.
is real like she don't let that bother her, bro. Like she lets stuff roll off her back. Like she's very much
Mm-hmm.
me in a
Yeah,
sense that like
That's
nothing
good.
can like if it gets to her, if it gets to her, she'll let me know. So,
it's serious.
but
Yeah.
so that's never been something that she's
Yeah.
even brought up as something that was affecting her in a
Even a
yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
No, that's
yeah,
the same.
it's definitely a thing for girls.
Mm-hmm.
I think for girls it's definitely something that they internalize. But
Mm-hmm.
it's a tricky thing, particularly with dark skinned girls, because
Mm-hmm.
um you don't want you don't want to be a dark skinned girl resenting light skinned girls because of the privilege that it seems
Mm-hmm.
like that they get.
now I want to go watch School
Um
Days.
Mm-hmm.
right,
Perfect
I want to go watch
example.
School
Yeah.
exactly.
Days now. Like
That was,
man,
oh,
Exactly.
man.
And then you have light skinned girls where I mean, this is just my experience. Sometimes you ever see like a light skinned girl who's like
Mm-hmm.
because she been teased or kind of people think she's not black enough, she goes even harder.
mm-hmm,
You know what I'm saying? Like she's super
Oh,
mm-hmm,
black. She's blackety black because I gotta show y'all
yeah.
how
right.
much of a sister I
They're gonna
am. And
overcompensate
you
now.
see that
Yes.
Yeah.
too. Yeah,
And I,
yeah.
I will also say that I have some friends who are very light skinned.
Hmm.
And sometimes they don't, how can I say this? They'll try to like show it or use it to an advantage in certain situations, which I
Hmm.
never like because I know exactly what they're doing. You know what I
Well,
mean?
what
And
kind of
I'm
example? Can you give us an example?
like, if we are, oh gosh, at a concert
Hmm.
and she goes up to the security guy. Oh, can you get us da, 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 da? And then I don't know, it magically works or something, because she
Hmm.
is light skinned, really, really light skinned. I don't
Okay.
know. I just notice, and sometimes I'm like,
She put some of that
I know what you're
Now is
doing.
some of
You
that
know what I
some of that
mean?
blushing that's
red
doing
bone
that?
voodoo on them.
Hmm.
I guess from being told, maybe over the years or whatever, that
Yeah.
because they are, they are prettier or whatever, they
Well,
have
there's a
that still
stereotype.
in their mind.
There's a
And
stereotype about
Well, there's no doubt
lighter
about it.
skinned women maybe being less threatening. I've had to deal with a
mm,
lot of stereotypes about dark skinned women. We're
hmm
tougher. We're
Whoa,
scarier.
whoa, whoa! You're
We're
being
more
aggressive right now.
badass.
Mm.
Oh, exactly. We're aggressive. And I'm not gonna lie, I have also I have used those stereotypes to my advantage in certain
Right, right,
situations as well.
right,
When
Mhm.
I felt like,
Mhm.
okay, they're going to be more intimidated by me,
right.
Mhm.
I would use that to
Mhm.
my advantage. And I did. I'm not going to even lie.
Mhm.
I'm not going to sit here and lie.
You,
I
I'm
have,
Yeah.
huh? What'd you
no,
say?
I'm just no, I'm laughing because I can't lie. I've probably done the same thing too because there is a perception. Even comedians have made. I forgot what comedian made a joke about this. Like he was like, "Man, when you see a real dark skinned dude, I be a little nervous because I be like, if it's a light skinned dude, I think it might have been Corey Holcomb.
Oh
Corey
yeah.
Holcomb. He said something like that. He's like, man." Any light skinned dude. I ain't really worried about light skinned dude. Even if he beat me, he ain't gonna beat me
Oh
by
my
much. But he said a
goodness.
really dark skinned dude. I gotta really think about it because I don't know. I don't know what he gonna do. He thinking like me. So,
Oh no.
so there's these weird stereotypes. I'm laughing because
Mhm.
in some cases, yeah, I mean there is a perception that the like maybe a lighter skinned guy may not be as dangerous. Well, there's some crazy light skinned guys too, though. Don't get me
But
wrong,
Right, but
they're perceived
That
to be
is
just
softer.
true.
in general.
they're perceived to be softer than a darker dude,
Same with black women, darker
and the
skinned
same with
women,
black women, no
lighter
question.
skinned
Yeah,
women. They're more
Mhm.
feminine and more dainty, and
Mhm.
they're less
Yeah.
threatening. Where us, we're gang members and we're aggressive and we're
Mm.
harder and we're angry.
Yeah,
Mm.
and aggressive.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
Mhm.
There's no. I'm laughing because you know what? Even if you're somebody who's like wanting to deny it and be like, no, I think it's nah. You right. You right.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's definitely a
Mhm.
fact because I do think about that. Now the crazy thing is that and that's why it's interesting because even when you see a if you see a dark skinned woman who's extremely soft spoken, and then you see a light skinned
Mhm.
woman who's extremely like hard, I think it's throwing
Mhm.
people off because in their mind
They
they
have
Mm.
those
associate the opposite.
preconceived ideas.
You know,
Yeah.
Mhm.
so
And a lot of
it's
times when you see
interesting, man.
real light skinned women acting real militant or aggressive, a lot of
Mhm.
times the first thing that comes to mind is that they're
That's what we
overcompensating.
were just talking about. We were
That
just talking about that.
We was just talking
that
about that. Yep.
and that's
We
what.
were
Mhm.
literally talking about
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've had friends who were like that because they felt like they needed to overcompensate for, their lightness.
Mhm.
People thinking that, okay,
Yeah.
you well, since you're mixed with white, you ain't tough, you ain't hard. I can whoop your ass. And
Yeah.
me, of course, I call myself the great defender because I do not like when people try to intimidate my friends. So I would step up and be like, "Who you talking to? What you thinking?" And they would always back off when I started acting like that because they were like, "Oh,
Mhm.
well, just the dark skinned chick, you can't mess with her.
Dark
She
skinned
she
chick, she
tough,
gonna
she
wild out on
gangster,
us.
right? She gonna wild out." So I would
Yeah.
use that to my advantage, even
But
if I was
you know
scared.
what?
Like,
You
damn, I
know
don't know
what?
what they
There is
gonna do,
nothing
but
wrong
Yeah.
with using your particular skill set to your advantage. I use my size to my advantage all the time.
Mhm.
Like
I'm sure
it,
you
it,
I
do.
it- you know, it
Mhm.
works. So
I'm
yeah.
sure you
nothing wrong
do.
with it.
There's a lot of light bulbs
Yeah.
around here that I get angry at because I got vaulted
Yeah,
ceilings,
like
and
listen,
I'd be like, damn, you
you
know.
need somebody to come intimidate. I got you. I'll listen. Sometimes I gotta stand there. I ain't
No,
gotta say nothing. I just gotta stand there.
just six
What
pairs.
Mhm.
exactly,
Mhm.
Once
The
you
Yep.
six,
exactly,
presence.
and that
once you
goes back
six
to
Yeah.
my
four or
point
taller, you
earlier
just gotta
that
just pull up and just
Yeah.
And
stand.
I'm
you
wide
command
too, so it's
attention.
like I ain't really got to do nothing.
Yeah.
Just be in the room,
Hmm.
and the thought I let them
Beautiful.
think
Yeah.
about what's going to happen, and whatever we're looking to get
Hmm.
accomplished gets accomplished
Mhm.
magically. You know what I
You
mean?
and
Mhm.
So
that's why I said you command attention, and there
Yeah.
are stereotypes about tall
yeah, yeah,
people.
yeah.
Tall people
Well,
are
You have
whatever.
to use whatever
Mhm.
you have to your advantage in this world. So it is what it is.
definitely. Well,
That's
well,
true.
okay.
I
So
agree
how
with that.
about this though? So now let's keep it funky. Now, do we have preferences for we're all human beings, we all have preferences, right? So, you know, do we have we had preferences in our life for certain complexions? Is that a thing for anybody here on the panel at any point in time?
No.
Or it's kind of
Have
like
we
Not
whatever?
ever?
me.
You say?
Mm,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say, I'll be honest and say, when I was, not now, I
Mm-hmm.
don't, but in the past, I have.
That's honest
Mm-hmm.
and that's real.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've
Mm-hmm.
swayed to both sides. I
I,
mean, so there's been moments in life where I
Mm-hmm.
preferred light skin. There's been
one
times
over
when
the other. Yeah.
I prefer dark skin. You know what I mean? Like, so it wasn't. It was never
Mm-hmm.
like one over the. As an older person, it's like, nah, that's no preference. It is what it is. But yeah, there's been times where it's like, yo, I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking for a particular thing. You know what I mean? So that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
What it was.
What about you, G?
I think it's situational.
I never had a preference. Just whoever was cute
It's all good.
was cute to me. Dark, caramel, light,
Hmm.
it didn't matter to me. As long as they were cute in my eyes,
No,
Right.
see,
or attractive in my
as a
eyes. Like,
dude though, it was
it's
more
all good.
like there's a certain target you shooting for, but if you happen to see something else that ain't necessarily in what you were looking at
Right.
initially, and it's cute,
Mm-hmm.
hey, you know,
Right.
why not?
You just, you roll
You
with it.
roll with it.
Yeah.
But
Well,
Sometimes you get
well,
with people
you
you
do
don't
go
think you
in the
would.
field with a preference looking for
Mm-hmm.
a certain thing at a certain point. You know what I mean? Like, it happens.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, you know what? For me, I appreciate. I mean, I've had girlfriends of all. My wife is just as we're just as dark as each other, so I have a dark wife. But I don't even care. Like I don't think about it like that. But I've had girlfriends. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, y'all know me for a long time, so I've had girlfriends that are
Mm-hmm.
caramel, mid, or whatever, dark, light, whatever. But the interesting thing is that
Mm-hmm.
the interesting thing to me is this: like when you have so like if you have a dark skinned girl who says, I only date light skinned guys, people frown upon it, kind of like, you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? That's kind of funny. Or if you had a light skinned girl who said, I only date light skinned guys, they would kind of be frowned upon it. But the interesting thing is that if you have or especially they're going to frown if you're a dark skinned man. Well, the biggest frown is if you're a dark skinned man who says, I only date light girls. That's the
Mm-hmm.
biggest frown. But on the flip side, if you have, and I've met many of them, if you met someone light skinned girl who says, I only date dark dudes, that's kind of
Mm-hmm.
cute to a lot of people. They're like, oh, okay, cool. We're especially if you're a
yeah,
dark
yeah,
dude.
you're a
You know
dark
what I'm
dude,
saying?
so
Like,
you wouldn't care.
I have some friends.
you know what
I
I
have
mean?
some girlfriends like that.
And
I have some girlfriends like that. They just say, "Oh, I do not want a light skinned man. I only like dark skinned men."
and
Seriously,
we feel no mercy for
today.
the light skin. Like as a dark skinned dude, we feel no mercy for the light skinned guys at all. We feel no mercy when a woman tells us, we're like, oh, okay, well that's cool. That's what's up. You know, but
Yeah.
we don't feel nothing for them. But it's interesting. They're all like preferences, but it's interesting how
Mm-hmm.
we view them because it's kind of it's a very
Yeah.
offensive if a dark man says he only wants to date someone light. But if
Mm-hmm.
someone light
Mm-hmm.
says they only want to date someone dark,
Double
it's
standard.
almost like if you're a
Yeah.
black person and you say I only date white people or white women or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
white men, everybody's like, oh
Mm-hmm.
wow, you don't like your race. Da, da, da. But if a white person says,
Right.
well, there's white people like, yo, listen, I only date black dudes. You know what I'm saying? Or if a white man only date black women. That's what I like because I like black people.
Mm-hmm.
It's cute. We like, oh, word,
Well,
okay,
like
cool.
that,
You
it's
down. You know
cute
what I'm
to
saying?
us. It's cute to us. But to them
It's cute.
other
That's what I
white
mean.
dudes,
Cute
they're
to
like,
us.
man, what's wrong with this person? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
so
Right.
it all depends on the
They
audience.
don't
You
like
know.
it, but we do.
That's true.
We think
That's
it's
true.
cute. You know what I'm saying? We like, oh, okay, cool,
Well,
okay.
that's
Oh, you
because there's been so much discrimination against darker skinned black people for centuries.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like because it's still passed down, to see a preference
Mm-hmm.
towards darker skin is like, I don't know, it's like a win for everybody or something. It's a psychological thing,
Mm-hmm.
I think. It's a double
Mm-hmm.
standard for sure. I'm not saying that it's right, but it's just something that it is, something that's just there. It is,
Yeah.
you know?
we
Mm-hmm.
look at it as a W. We
It's
like,
true.
okay, word, okay. You like the black people, huh? You like the blacks, huh? Okay, cool,
I
Right.
just think though,
cool.
from us
Right.
as black folks, if I feel like me personally, if I said I'm only gonna date light skinned women, I feel like I'm cutting myself off from finding if I'm looking for something. You know what I mean? My partner. Maybe my partner
Mhm.
is
Yeah.
4 shades darker than me, but I'm gonna not
Right.
not even know it because I'm only going to. So I don't
Mhm.
really like having a preference in terms of
Yeah.
you know if I vibe with you, I vibe with you. Skin tone don't mean
Right.
much at all. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
something that when you start to really learn yourself as an individual and
Mhm.
understand who you are and what you
Mhm.
really
yeah,
need from someone, I think
Yes.
once you gain that level of wisdom and self awareness, you start to realize that there are certain things that just really don't matter when
yeah,
you're looking for
Yeah.
a
all that shit is
Yeah.
just surface
partner.
level. Like
Yes.
you ain't, but
Absolutely.
All of that,
Mhm.
because when you are sick
Yeah.
and in a wheelchair or whatever's happening to you in your life, that skin color ain't gonna do nothing
But
for
that's
you.
us. That's
Mm.
us
Your
in our
That's
personality
forties
is.
facts.
talking. That's us in our forties talking.
Yep.
In our twenties
Right.
and
20,
late teens, we would
exactly.
not have this same conversation. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, because we didn't
Mhm.
have that.
Yeah,
We didn't have that
you
level.
didn't have that
Most
perspective back then.
20s and teens,
So
we
Mhm.
didn't have that. Yeah, no, absolutely not. And you
Mhm.
know what? We know what's sad is when you meet people our age who still don't have that level of
yeah, that's a
wisdom and
problem.
self awareness.
That's a
It's
problem.
still
Oh
very
yeah.
Yeah.
shallow and superficial. And
Yes.
That's
yikes, when
definitely
I
a
when I
problem.
Yeah,
talk to people
Mhm.
who are like that, I'm like, oh my goodness. If you haven't figured
Right.
that, if you haven't figured yourself out by now, I don't know if there's any hope for
right,
you.
No.
You
Yeah,
know,
I think so too. I mean, there's definitely a beauty in all people. I think that growing up,
Mhm.
I would be lying if I said that there wasn't a premium kind of put on women who were like black and white or black and Mexican or
like a
black
mix.
and this
Yeah,
hmm
and that. You know,
Mhm.
yeah, there was. I mean, I'd be lying. We definitely put a
Yeah.
premium on the girls who were mixed because we looked at it as something different.
Mhm.
I think to an extent, girls were doing that for guys. If a guy was black and something else, it would be like, oh,
Mhm.
they
was
were
black and
deemed as
Puerto
like
Rican. He got to
exotic
be
or
it's
different than
because
the
Right.
norm.
yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and I'm saying that to say that I don't think it's evil or wrong to appreciate people in their different
Mhm.
mixtures. I think all people are beautiful, and a lot of times when you mix different cultures and races together, you do come out with
Mhm.
beautiful people just as when you mix the same race of people together. You know what I'm saying? So,
Mhm.
Absolutely.
but I think the problem was back in the day is that we tended to see certain. Then when you get to the point where you see certain things as better, then that's when I think it get weird.
right,
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So when
Yeah.
you start to say, okay, this person is mixed with something, or this person is
Mhm.
lighter, they might be better, and that becomes a
Right.
real problem
Yes.
in and of itself. Like if you're not,
hmm
if you look at someone who's mixed and you say, okay, this person has a mixed heritage and that makes them better, and you're
Mhm.
not, then inherently you almost are like, damn, I ain't shit. You know what I'm
right,
saying? Or I'm not
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that is a dysfunctional way of
That's
thinking.
right.
You need to
you know what I'm saying?
investigate why you think that and where that
Yeah,
came from.
Mhm.
And
right.
before Cyrus came over here trying to smooth grab my my ginger ale, um, the point I was trying to make was that when Sarai was saying, "Oh, well, I want to be white, and I
Mhm.
want and because I want this type of hair," I think because she had saw it in a movie. She really likes Elsa
Mhm.
from Frozen. She thinks Elsa's
Mhm.
cool. She wanted the long blonde hair with the white streak, and oh, I want
Yeah,
white skin.
Yeah.
White skin is pretty. And I said,
Mhm.
don't ever say that. I said, your skin is
Mhm.
beautiful too. I said, I
Right.
said, you're a brown girl. That's what I always call her. I said, you're a brown girl. I said, brown
Mhm.
girls are beautiful. And she said, well,
Yes.
she said, and I said, all colors are beautiful. She said, white is beautiful. I
Mhm.
said, white is beautiful. I said, brown. I said, I'm darker brown. You're lighter brown.
Mhm.
My son is a little darker than her, but he's lighter than me.
Mhm.
And I said, and he's beautiful too. And I
Yeah.
remind her all the time, brown girls are beautiful. I said,
Yes.
your hair is beautiful. Oh, mommy, I wish I had hair that was like this. I wish my hair. I said, your hair is very long, but your hair is also
Mhm.
very curly, and we ain't got time to be trying to brush
Mhm.
your hair out every day. But
Yeah.
but I told her, I said, but I remind her constantly how beautiful her skin is because I don't want her to ever think.
Right.
And this is something I told her. I said, don't ever think that any other woman is prettier than you or you to
Mm.
them. I said, you are just as beautiful as
Yeah.
anybody else. Because
That's right.
I really don't want her to get sucked into the whole colorism
Yeah.
thing. And I
Yeah.
don't want her thinking that, because I know how, like you said, I know how them kids are. Because some of the
Yeah.
stuff that she come back saying when she's around some of those kids at daycare, I'm like, oh Lord, she ain't been around some of these bad kids. Their parents
Yep.
don't talk to them, and
Hmm.
so
No.
I make sure I want to correct that. If I catch her saying something,
Yep.
anything that I feel like is going to be detrimental to her self esteem because of her color
Mm-hmm.
or her hair
Mm-hmm.
or her race or her name, I make sure to correct that immediately
Yeah.
and let her
Hmm.
That's
know,
right. Yep.
you are just as beautiful as anybody else.
Yeah.
Your name
Mm-hmm.
is beautiful. I picked it for a reason. Your hair is
Yes.
beautiful. I said, you're
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
brown girl. Brown girls are beautiful. And so
Mm-hmm.
constantly instilling that in her, I
Yeah.
really believe it's going to help her because it starts at home.
Mm-hmm.
When you don't feel
Mm-hmm.
like your parents are
Yes.
affirming what you look like,
That's
then
right.
you're going to go out into the world that's going to tell you ugly. They're going to tell you you're
Mm-hmm.
not beautiful. They're going to
Yeah.
tell you
Yep.
don't measure up.
Right.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a problem, and
Yeah.
that's where a lot of the dysfunction starts coming in, where now you feel like you need to get a ridiculous looking weave, or you need to
Hmm.
Yep.
get, you need to lighten your skin, you need to start getting all this plastic
Mm-hmm.
surgery to straighten your nose. My nose is too wide, or my lips are too
Yeah.
big, and
Yep.
all
Right.
this craziness. And
Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
definitely want my children to have self-acceptance, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
that is something that we as parents, we have to instill that at
Mm-hmm.
home.
Yeah.
Because if they get
Yes.
that strong foundation
Yeah.
at home, then
So
they'll go
that's
out
so
Yep.
into the
true.
world and they'll be able to withstand the criticism that's going to come. Because no matter how
Right.
beautiful they are or aren't to whoever, there's going to be criticism.
Right.
Right.
Because
Regardless,
Mm-hmm.
you
even
can't
the quote
escape
unquote
criticism.
prettiest
Yeah.
girls
No.
deal with a whole lot of criticism
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
because
Oh yeah.
they're going to encounter jealousy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a fair.
Yep.
And
No,
I
that's a
know
fact.
that Sarai, as a very light skinned girl, is going to
Mm-hmm.
encounter jealousy from
Mm-hmm.
darker skinned girls
Yeah.
or comparisons from girls that are just as light, or well,
Mm-hmm.
we're both, you're just as light as me, but how come your hair is so thick,
Mm-hmm.
or how come your
Well, you know what?
hair is
Let, let
thick?
me
Yep.
let me ask you something because this is something we talked
Yep.
about when you got off for a second. So
Mhm.
this is the tricky thing, right? So with Sarai being light, so with a lighter skinned girl, I was saying this to B too. I was like, well, did you talk to your daughter about like okay? So my thought was that even with our kids, with my kids, I don't want to necessarily have a talk with them per se, in the sense that I don't want to preempt their thought pattern as far as colorism. So the reason why I say that is that when you said she's going to encounter jealousy from darker skinned women,
Mhm.
she may or may not. Now
Right.
in the real world, I based on what we've experienced, it probably would happen. It probably would based on what we know. But at the same time, we also have to be careful that you don't plant
Plant the seed.
into her to feel like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, darker skinned women naturally envy me. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
And
exactly,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean?
exactly.
So
I
it's a
don't,
tricky
and
thing.
that
Mm-hmm.
is something I am very cognizant of that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because really, naturally, with kids, at least from my perspective, there's certain things that I don't want to preemptively talk to them about. I
Right.
want to address it as the need comes up,
As
Yeah.
Right.
yes.
because
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't want to plant any seeds because kids obviously are very
Yep.
impressionable. So
Yeah.
the only reason I
Mm-hmm.
even addressed those things with her is based on what she was saying to me,
Right.
and
Right.
say
Right.
the things
Mm-hmm.
that she was saying, questions she was asking. And at that point, it gave me a direction to talk
Mm-hmm.
to her about. Because I feel like
Hmm.
it's harder when you try to go to a kid and start, especially when they're this age, they don't
Yeah.
they don't get a lot of things, and their attention span is this short.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
when stuff comes up, or she asks me, or I see that she's troubled about
Right.
something and I ask her, then it kind of gives me a direction to go in as to what I need to say to her and how to steer things to her. But no,
Right.
Right.
I don't want to preemptively, I'm not going to say, well, this is going to happen to you, because that might not
Yeah,
happen.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
I
yeah.
don't want her to have any preconceived ideas either.
You don't want to
So
shape
Yes.
her point of view on something before. you don't want to take her.
Exactly.
You don't want to bring up a problem that she may not end up having.
Right,
You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
right.
So
Exactly. So anything with
so
color or even
Mhm.
sex, we know we're gonna have that conversation.
right,
Like
right,
if she
Mhm.
asked me, "Mommy, how did I get in your belly?"
right,
God
right,
put you there.
right,
you know,
right.
I'm
Deal
you
with that.
because at the time she's four,
Yep.
she had just turned 5 at the time. Yeah, you're 5. I'm not having this conversation with you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not doing
Yeah.
all in due time for
Yeah.
that one. You know what I'm
all in
saying?
due
Same,
time.
same here. You know what I'm
But
saying?
Mhm.
these
So,
days,
but
again, kids say all kind of stuff that you hear. You talking about,
yeah,
oh, they're kissing,
Yep.
they're gonna get married. Where are you hearing that from these little bad girls
yeah,
at
Yeah.
daycare talking about inappropriate stuff?
yeah,
Yes.
They're gonna hear stuff, and we're gonna
yeah.
have to just address it. Like one little girl was
Mhm.
telling her little group of friends, "Oh, mommy and uncle were naked. I saw mommy and uncle naked, and they were in the." It's like,
Oh my
Mommy
God.
and uncle?
See.
and so then yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
so when you know that what if like one of your daughter's classmates is telling everybody that,
Oh
then it's
man,
like,
that
okay,
Oh
that
yes.
kid about to get that mommy hurt.
Wow. Okay.
you got to wild out. It's like
Right, mommy and
it's like
uncle.
oh boy.
Oh
So
man.
I don't.
Oh,
That's why I'm like I'm not gonna bring nothing to you
Yeah.
necessarily, especially at this age.
right.
If I hear
Yes.
when I hear
Mm-mm.
stuff and when you say stuff that triggers me,
Yeah.
Mhm.
then
Then
that gives
then
me a direction to go
we
in.
had that
Right.
Yeah,
conversation at that
I think
point.
it's always
Yeah.
really
Exactly.
important to have age appropriate conversations. That's
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
real
Absolutely.
cognizant of that.
yeah.
As my daughter got older, we can kind of explore more deeper topics.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
but as
Yeah.
when she was the age that y'all kids are, nah, we wasn't having.
Having those
Mhm.
conversations yet.
Absolutely
Yeah.
not.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
I mean it's
Absolutely.
definitely something like for me like
Mhm.
the colorism thing I didn't think it was even a thing anymore, but
Mhm.
No, it
yeah, we
is.
do have the conversation about, just being happy with happy about your skin and, we're
Right.
beautiful brown people. We have those type of
Right.
conversations, but we just talk. I talk about it. We talk about it. My wife and I, we talk about it in a normal fashion versus like we're
Mhm.
trying to like defend ourselves to defend
Right.
your
Yeah.
blackness and,
Hmm.
girl,
Yeah.
you're beautiful. Sometimes, you go over the top
Yeah.
like you're trying to protect them from
Yeah.
something, an idea that they shouldn't be thinking about in the first place. It's like you're
Right.
normal.
Mhm.
It's plenty of different colors of, you know, but at the same time, all of us are dark
Mhm.
in the family for the most part. In my immediate family,
Mhm.
we're all pretty much brown dark. You know what I'm saying? But
Mhm.
I do understand when you have different complexions, that may be an issue that will come up. You know what I'm saying? And
Absolutely.
Yeah.
ultimately, I think this is something that it's an interesting thing because there are in our own lives, there's a lot of similarities of things we've heard and things we've
Mhm.
experienced within being, you know, black people. And also, we do
Mhm.
tend to categorize ourselves in our head. You know what I'm saying? So, you know,
Mhm.
speaking for myself, subconsciously, I'm a dark skinned guy, right?
Hmm.
Mhm.
And twin, you're a dark skinned girl. And then G,
Mhm.
I'm not telling you what you are, but I'm just saying what I think. I'd say you're like brown skinned girl in the middle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Depending
See,
on where you are.
perspectives are so different because I look at her and I see a light skin. I would say you're light skin.
Well,
I
that's the
wouldn't even say
thing.
Now, see,
brown
that's
skin.
funny. That's
Yeah,
funny because even to your point and what B had said a little earlier, now that I'm an adult, I hear that a lot more. Like, oh, you're a light skin, you're a red bone. I'm like, and I'm looking like I
Yeah,
never
where I
have
get
seen
from that?
myself
Yeah,
that way. You know what I mean?
right, right,
I've always seen myself as, like you said, like brown skin or like caramel complexion. Like,
right,
so when I'm hearing, oh, you're light, you're I'm a red bone. Like,
right.
I'm like, no, I've never thought of
yeah.
myself that way. But I hear it now, yeah, way more when I'm, an adult. I
But the
hear it
funny,
as
Because
the
you look
funniest
light
part
skinned
about
to
that
me.
is the funniest part to me
strange.
about that is about how the funniest part is when you're seeing how other people think. So it's not even it's like a joke because yeah, you might see somebody who's
Yeah,
yeah, I'm holler at that light skinned girl over there. That she's fine little light skinned person, and then you're like, oh. this person is like brown.
Like
You know what I'm saying?
where light skin? Where's she at?
Like
Yeah.
where? You know what I'm saying? Because
That's what I'm
Everybody's
saying.
perspective is so different.
people's perspective is different. But
Yeah.
what's crazy about it is like their perspective still tends to have to put people in a
Yeah,
category. And I think that as you
Mm-hmm.
get older, the idea of even having a category is dumb. We do have different hues of brown, there's no question. So we can't pretend like
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't exist. But just the
Right.
idea to put people in especially when you talk about because usually if it's dark skin, you're just dark skin, right? It's obvious. But the funniest thing is the whole
Mm-hmm.
light skin thing because somebody will call you brown, Gina, and somebody will call you light skin, and somebody will call
Mm-hmm.
you a red bone, and all this stuff is
yeah.
just weird stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so it's such an interesting thing
Well,
to look
it's
at.
like that with
Right.
dark skinned people. There's different
Mm-hmm.
levels. Well, you're more like a Hershey bar, or you're more like
Well, there's blue. Remember blue black, right?
oh yeah, I remember Blue
Oh.
Blue
Black.
black,
Mm-hmm.
the Michael Blackson.
hmm
Mm-hmm.
The
They would
Michael
or
Blackson. Now you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying.
you're like
Mm-hmm.
you're a like a patent leather shoe, or
Oh no.
I've heard people say not about me, but I've heard people say that oh they're like a patent leather shoe, or
Oh
That,
my
they'll
goodness.
compare
that's
you
wild.
to different things.
That's
I mean,
crazy.
for
I've never
me,
heard
Wow.
that one.
And
for
we
I
always had the
heard that a
joke.
lot.
We
I've
always
heard
had
the
the
patent
jokes
leather
like
shoe
you
thing.
so black something
Mm.
something something. There was always a joke with
Yeah.
that too. You know what I'm saying?
You so black,
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
but
you
all in fun
they
though.
turn off the lights, you disappear. All they see is your
Right.
eyes and
Oh
all
my
this other
goodness.
nonsense.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
most people are not visible when the room is pitch black. I mean,
Right.
All right.
even white folks 9 times out of 10 are
All of
not
that
visible,
stuff
but they
is
don't
funny.
glow in the dark.
It's
You
funny
know what
now.
I'm
You know what I
saying?
mean?
It's like that's just ridiculousness.
Right.
Totally
It's
ridiculous. I've had
it's all
Yes.
people.
fun now.
For me personally, I feel like I've always had people say like try to assure me or make me
Mhm.
feel better that I'm not that dark. Like you
Right,
dark.
right, right.
They always have to make
You
you
dark.
dark.
You're not
They would
that
always say it kind of
dark.
Oh
aggressively,
my
You
like
ain't that
God.
You
you
dark.
ain't
dark, but you're not
that
that
dark.
dark. You know,
You
to make
black,
me
but you
Oh
ain't
my
black black.
God.
like they're making me feel better by
Right.
assuring me that even though you're dark, and they would
That's
always say
crazy.
dark, real hard, dark.
But
Oh
you're
my
not dark,
gosh.
You're
dark.
not
You ain't dark.
yes, I've heard that one a lot. You're not dark, dark. You're not that dark.
That is crazy.
Wow.
That is
Okay,
wow.
That's
okay.
unfortunate that we've got
Yeah.
that people
Yes.
still think like that. You know what I mean? But
hmm
Yes.
People
well,
calling you Blackie and all that
all of
kind of
that.
stuff. I mean,
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Well, I know I kept y'all almost 2 hours now, so I think this is it's been a great conversation.
most
You know what I'm saying?
definitely.
And
Yeah.
you know, it was really interesting with the whole BBL and the color conversation. I think is
Mm-hmm.
interesting. And you know, it's interesting when you talk to a lot of black people. There's so many
Mm-hmm.
different experiences for the whole color thing. It's crazy, but hopefully we're going
Mm-hmm.
in a better direction. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
I like to think it was
So,
something of the past, but I guess it's not.
Yeah.
Nope.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying?
Nope.
no.
Especially
Nope.
Gina, if you dealing with the pre-Ks through fives, then it ain't
You know what
over.
that means? It ain't going nowhere no
Yeah.
time soon. If they get it this
Right.
early,
Right.
it's
I
gonna be in
mean,
them. So
We got a fresh new batch. We got a fresh new batch
yeah,
yeah,
of kids
yeah.
within it.
we
Oh my.
do. But we just have to do our best, to like said, instill that pride, be happy with who you are, your color, your skin tone.
That's
Just
hmm
it.
gotta keep on, doing
That's
the
it.
best we can,
That's it.
um, to make it better.
To make
I
it better.
Yeah.
mean,
Well,
Absolutely.
anybody got anything they want to shout out before we wrap up? Any shout outs?
Nope.
Anything y'all want to say?
I started I started a new small business. I
Okay.
hope you got that package I sent you. And
No, I didn't get anything.
it's on your porch. Have you looked outside?
Oh, I did see something that was delivered. I on my phone. I
Amazon
was like,
sends
what?
pictures.
Okay, I'm gonna go get it when we get off the
No,
phone
I
here.
didn't get nothing. Go outside. It's right there.
I would have known
I
if
mean,
you said if
it
you
looked
hadn't
like
said
your
nothing.
house
that
in the
is
picture.
funny.
Well, tell us about the biz.
Well,
Mm.
well, actually, it's more like a digital design business. Basically, I've gotten pretty good at content creation and digital design. So I'm designing
Mm.
T-shirts, logos, and basically just basic ads. You know, people want to do basic ads for their small business. I am doing
Mm-hmm.
this Sunday. I'm actually going to be recording a music video slash ad for my new business. Is called Three House Concepts,
Three house
and
concept.
I'm really
Mm-hmm.
really excited. I've got my stuff on Amazon. I'm selling on Amazon now, and
Oh,
just trying
Well,
to get my side
send me
hustle
the
on.
link. I'm gonna put it in the I'll put it in the
yeah.
description of the show and everything and all the
I
clips
will. I've got to make
that I
some
drop.
adjustments to some of the prices because obviously when I ordered my product samples, I didn't want to pay full price for it. So I gotta readjust the prices back to the normal price. But then I will send you, of course, the link. I'll send it to you tomorrow.
Go
But
show
I
sample.
sent you a sample
Okay.
of one of my designs,
Okay.
one of my
Mm.
t-shirt designs, and I'm just single mom. You gotta get your hustle
Got to
on.
get it.
You
Yeah.
gotta make that money because it is
Gotta go
not
get it.
easy
Mm-hmm.
raising two kids with no help and just trying
Okay.
to build
Yeah.
that wealth for them. And
What was the name of it again, twin?
Yeah.
three house concepts.
Three house concepts. Okay.
Hmm.
Is there a
Mm.
Instagram or anything for it or TikTok or anything yet?
We are in the process of putting that together.
Okay.
I'm still it's still kind of in the early stages. That's why I
Okay.
haven't made an official announcement yet. I'm just telling y'all
Yeah, yeah.
for right
Mm-hmm.
now. But
I will keep promoting.
once the music video ad is done, and the social media pages are ready, then I'm going to do like an official like release.
Mm-hmm.
So to
Okay.
try
We
to
gonna
get
pump
that
it.
out
We gonna
there.
pump it every week. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
Did
definitely
Yeah.
three
everybody
house
freeze?
no
design.
doubt. Hmm?
No, I think yeah, you're moving now,
No.
B. You're
I
moving.
went
Mm-hmm.
out.
Yeah, I see you, Jeannie. You moving. You're moving,
Okay.
No,
B.
All right.
you're
Because
moving.
Like for a
all
You
three of
just
y'all
second.
froze for
froze
a
at the
But
same
second.
time.
not.
Oh wow,
Oh,
that's
Oh.
okay.
weird.
Yeah, it might just be the connect. And then
Yeah.
what about 2G?
Yeah.
For me? Oh, Gina.
Um, I'm still out here performing, doing my thing, working on new music.
All right
Yes,
now.
yes.
So that's coming. I can't say when yet because, I want to take my time with it.
Yeah.
But I mean people can follow me Instagram at Miss Gina Rose, MSGINAROSE.
Yes.
And I have a Facebook fan page. It's just Gina Rose Music,
Okay.
GINAROSE Music.
All
Okay.
right
All
now.
right.
Yeah.
B
Well
Rock.
I
done,
got nothing. I'm
gang.
chilling.
Rooting for you.
Chilling.
I got
I'm chilling.
nothing.
Well, they can catch you on Facebook with sarcastic posts
Yeah.
giving
I'm
game
there
to the world.
sometimes. Sometimes, most times I'm on Instagram. But yeah,
On the gram. Okay, you more gram. Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
You more gram
I'm
now.
more on the
Yeah.
gram now. But it's like
Okay.
B. It's B. It's either underscore or dash, and it's Rock City. ROCCITY. I don't know if it's an underscore or
Yeah, I
dash,
believe it's yeah.
but maybe I should look at that next time before we do this. But yeah,
Yeah. That's
I'm
all
there.
good.
You'll
That's all
find
good.
me.
We'll